Hello, everyone. We're back. It's Monday night. Look who I have with me. Look at who our special guest is, Natasha Burnett. She is back. And you had an amazing scenes last night. And Kathy's with us too. How are you two doing?
I
I'm
thought you were
doing
talking about me as
great.
the special guest, but fine. Well,
You
I'll
are
go
my
with Natasha.
special guest. How is everyone? Good?
Real
Yes,
good.
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So everybody's like, I see them all popping in. I'm watching the little
Okay.
eye increasing over there. So last night was an amazing episode. What was the title, Kathy or Natasha? Was it not into the
Journey
Into
into
journey?
the
life.
light. Yeah,
What was
journey
it?
into the light.
Journey into the light. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, which was beautiful. And Kathy and I might talk about that title later on. But your scenes, holy moly, we've got a lot to talk about here. So I was saying in the studio, for those of you that are out there, how much I loved yesterday or last night. And I had lots of feelings, a lot of emotions. And it was a beautiful scene. Did you by any chance have like any type of say in how you wanted to like approach the scenes, or they gave you the script and you just go?
Well, I actually did in a way. I spoke to John Tinker, the showrunner, 100 times. I mean, like, I'm sure he saw my name on his phone. It's her again. No, but it was great because we sat and talked about, dissected every scene that Minnie had to do, because they all meant different things. They were all so loaded. For Minnie, when she was giving Mr. Landis the muffin, and then of course when she was trying to talk to Joseph about what she wanted to do, and then when she goes to him, invite him, of course, and then when, you know, they think he's not going to turn up for dinner, and the whole journey that she has to go through emotionally was quite a big one for her. So I wanted to talk about it with him and make sure as well that he was happy with what I was considering doing when I was actually on set, because I didn't really change any of the dialogue itself that Peter had so beautifully written for me. It was really just, well, I was thinking to do this scene in this tone for this reason, and would you be okay with that? You know, because it's obviously telling the story. I want to do it justice for everyone that was involved, so I always wanted to check that it was something that they were happy with me doing. And I spoke to my mum about it.
Oh,
She was the first person I spoke to about it, because I asked her about any experiences that were maybe similar that she had had with people that she shared with me. And she really just explained to me that for her, she would have done exactly the same thing. She would have invited Mr. Landis
oh, wow.
over. And I asked her why. And she said, well, it was really about showing that whomever comes over is to see that, you are equal and the same in all ways but one.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, great. Okay, that makes so much sense. And I just
Your
took that.
mom. Your mom, go there. So actually it was really powerful. It was quite actually emotional for some people watching, and the whole message behind it. So I mean, and I was saying earlier too, your character is always approaches though difficult situations calmly, and you never lose that you're acting like you always play her the way we expect her to be,
Mhm.
which is comforting for us. So because we know her, we love her. And when you invited him over for dinner, I was like, oh, it reminds me of like when I'm sitting in church, and often our pastor says, breaking bread with someone is when you really get down to the nitty gritty. You are the same, you have to eat, but you're sharing a meal. And that's how you can really approach something. And I always thought to myself, even when I'm sitting, in church thinking, I don't know if I could, not that I don't want to, but I don't know if I had the courage to do it. So
Yeah.
there was Minnie and you could tell that you were nervous, but it was important. And I love when you said to Viv, to your husband, to Joseph, that you hope you didn't disappoint him. And he's like, disappoint me? That was like furthest from, I love that line, from the truth. And it's like quiet, soft little dialogue that is just really beautiful. It's like Hope Valley, Hope Valley, Hope Valley. I'll stop gushing, but it's true. Now, I have a question about the whole, was it symbolic? Was there any kind of symbolism behind the whole lightning and the storm and him being drenched? Why wasn't it just a regular ordinary night? Do you know?
That, do you know what? I actually don't know the official answer to that question. However, I do feel like doing it that way, it was potentially not going to work in Minnie's favor. And of course, when she had this whole idea, as you said, she was very nervous. She didn't know how this would all play out. And of course, she wants to lead by example for her children. And she's suggesting something and which I'm sure she prayed on, absolutely, and came to that conclusion. But of course, she didn't really know the outcome of suggesting something like that. And of course, realizing that he wasn't going to come, she had that moment where, you know, just that sinking feeling of, is this exactly what Joseph was telling me about? Is this not going to happen? So I feel like they needed to sort of just have that moment of, could it be that he was lost in the rain? Or maybe he didn't want to turn up.
Right. It just added to the whole drama. I'm sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
No. So did you and Viv, the children, Todd, as a group, talk through how you were going to play the scene as a group? Because it starts off with that tension. I call it dynamic tension of, you know, he doesn't really want to be here and he feels like he needs to, and the kids are hostile to him, and you're wondering, Minnie is wondering, did I make a huge mistake? And I don't even know what Joseph was thinking, but did you guys map it out as a group?
Well, actually, I have to give so much props to Todd. He was so good with this, because when we had to do the muffin scene, we had a very long chat then about what we needed to say in this scene. And obviously it was something I couldn't do alone. And he had to play his part. And I spoke to him about it and how, you know, asked him if he was, what he was comfortable with and what he'd be happy to do. And we spoke about the whys and everything like that. And I was so happy that he was willing to go there for the storyline. So the contrast between that moment in the cafe and when they're playing the piano was so great that the story arc couldn't have been told the same way if he wasn't willing to go there. So once we had that conversation, everything else he was just fully on board with, and it was great.
It was. It really was. I loved it. When you brought up the music and the playing, I know a lot of people have questions about if that really was the two actors playing the piano. And what was that answer?
Well, there are some very skilled, talented hand doubles that came in to do that job. But there is a funny story. Actually, the scene where we go and see Mr. Landis in the saloon playing, they needed to, when they were doing the wide of that, they needed him to actually be playing. And Erin and I were trying not to laugh, because while he was banging the keys and it sounded so horrific, it honestly so bad, because the actual music was playing and him banging the keys, and we're trying to stand there looking like, isn't he a great piano player?
Good acting. It took some good acting for that. I love it. You know what, Kathy, you had a really cool question about Natasha and her American accent and the way Minnie speaks. What was it?
I was just wondering if you had a voice coach that kind of gave you some tips or training on the dialect you used for Minnie?
No, I did not have a dialect coach. It was something that I actually decided on the spot when I did the audition. It was just how I felt she should sound. And it just kind of stuck with me the whole time. So it is something I have to, this season, I really felt like, oh gosh, I have to get back into that whole mild tone thing that she has.
It's okay. It's good. Like I said, I was really serious, not trying to like be all gushy, but you're doing a great job. I mean, when I watch the show, I'm like transported. It's like my escape time. And I love it. I'm really loving the Canfield storyline too. It's beautiful. It's like it's not like you're just another family. You're really adding something to the whole storyline, which is nice. Really nice.
Did you find it intimidating at all to kind of come into the family that was already really a family, and you just kind of had to move in and develop your own chemistry with them and style?
Actually, it actually worked out really well, because when Viv and I originally started talking prior to starting the filming of season 8, we had so much in common and so much to share in our general lives, how we grew up, and then of course in terms of how we saw the Canfields, what we wanted to do with the family, and how we wanted to portray the Canfields for the audience and for representation as a whole. And so once that happened, then it was really nice when his kids were there too. And I think they felt at ease because we were at ease, and so they felt way more comfortable. And I had a lot of scenes in season 8 with Vienna, and not as many with Elias, but sometimes they were without Viv. And what was great is it got to the point where they didn't mind. And I always said to them, you know, if there's something that you want to ask or you're not sure about, just let me know. If you don't want to go and tell someone or whatever, you can just come to me and we'll try and sort it out. And they felt comfortable to do that. So that was really nice.
Which is good. And now, I mean, you're like your own little, they adopted you into their family.
They have. Yeah.
Which is so nice. And Amanda too, I see her there with you all sometimes, you know, that's so nice.
Oh, it's really nice to have a family of color that isn't just there to have a family of color as part of the show. I mean, the Canfields are such an integral part of Hope Valley, and they add so much, and you guys are such good actors and so good at interpreting the Canfield story. It's really a pleasure to watch.
Well, actually, what's really nice is that you're actually tackling real issues. We're not pretending that they don't exist because it's Hope Valley and everybody just loves everyone and everyone accepts everyone. Like a female who couldn't have the right to vote was mayor. You know what I mean? That's a little different. And I don't know if I don't know if they truly, you know, this is before, you know, before the Canfields. I don't know if they truly addressed it, but now we're addressing issues that the Canfields have faced, which I love. And I was wondering if you could maybe tease or hint, will we get even more of their backstory as the season goes on, or no? Or you can't say, we just have to watch?
Let's see, where are we now? Okay, so I would say there's not so much of their backstory at this point. You actually do get a glimpse of potentially where we could go.
Okay.
With what may have been prior to them arriving in Hope Valley. We get a little bit of that, but there is definitely a lot of forward movement with them. And then, as you said, because they're real issues, they are dealing with even more real issues for that time for them as a family and as a couple. And that's where we kind of go in the next few episodes.
That's okay. That's good
Well
stuff.
played, Natasha. That was a great answer.
Yeah, no, that was media trained. So I wanted to share some love with you from from the viewers. And then I think we might have a question or two. I don't know what we can ask, but we'll see. This is just Sharon. She says, hi, I'm popping in. Last night was amazing. Love Natasha. Love Minnie. She's so wise.
Aww.
It's true. It's true. Natasha, you're so beautiful. Thank you for coming and chatting with us.
Aww, that's so sweet.
This is Pam. And just whenever I specifically know who my person is, I like to share Pam. So, of course, she's a fan. She's a Hardy. But Pam also has a fan page. It's the official Lucas and Elizabeth fan page on Facebook. She's one of the admins for just Lucas and Elizabeth to have their own fan page.
There we go.
So, Minnie, you were awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela.
Oh, this is cute. Deb, we said this already. No disrespect, Natasha, but you look younger than Angela.
Thank you. That is no way disrespectful. Thank you.
This is cute. We do MVPs like at the end, and Janice is choosing you. She's like, Minnie's you're her MVP of last night. And Christina sang the scene with the piano, and Angela and Augustus was awesome.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, and I forgot that this one here. This is Christina. So Christina is also an admin to Chris McNally, not like Lucas Bouchard, but Chris McNally, the actor, his fan page. And there. So we got lots of people in the house tonight. Alrighty, Natasha, you were great in yesterday's episode and in every other episode, but yesterday, really, it was true. It was extra special. Do you feel like that? Did this episode stand out for you, or is there another coming?
No, I mean, really, for Minnie's character and Minnie's growth, and for the audience to see Minnie in, I suppose, a more fulfilling light. This was her best episode for sure.
Do you know what I like? It reminded me, and this is what I know about the writing. This is as soon as I saw, I was the very beginning and I saw where the storyline was going. I'm a writer, and I was like, oh yes, I get this whole storyline. I get, the whole layout. Okay, I'm liking the flow. And and I love the nods to who your character is. It reminds me of the conversation that you had, or your character has with Carson. And of course, you're explaining, you weren't experiencing it, but you were explaining what happened, and you thanked him for helping you with the bitterness that was in your heart. And I was like, that's just so Minnie. And then they took it to a whole new level with this. This was great.
Yes.
These are just my blah, 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 blah. I have to talk too much. All right, Joan, such a beautiful moment with the Canfield family. It doesn't look like anyone has any real questions for you. They're just showing you tons and tons and tons of love. This is a nice one. This is Lillian. Your portrayal of Minnie is just outstanding. That scene with Landis last night was incredible.
Thank you.
Oh, we need a Minnie as a friend, and this is so true. We do. And we love Minnie's strength and determination and sweet motherly spirit. I also like how Minnie approaches her conversations with Joseph. Like when he has some self-doubt and he's, and I love that they make him have self-doubt, because a lot of times people's, like, in their minds, they set like a preacher or their minister or their priest up on a pedestal, forgetting how human they are, especially if they have a family, and how human the mistakes they make. And there you are, his little voice of reason, and checking him, give him a little check and keeping him in his place. I love that.
But what's cool, she's not, Minnie, that is not just perfect wisdom, because she has had doubt before. And we've seen scenes where Joseph has told her, you want to go, let's pack up, we'll hit the road again, and until you get somewhere where you're happy. So I love that humanity about her. She's not perfect. She's very wise. She's very patient, but she's not a perfect person. And I think she and Joseph really complement each other in that way. They're not that way at the same time.
Yes.
They bolster each other. They strengthen each other.
This is interesting, and it's funny because I thought of this last season and I forgot about it. But I like this parallel or this comparison. This is Gigi. Minnie reminded me of Abigail with her soft spoken way and kindness, and I love the Canfields. So Abigail had that kind of welcoming and way, and then she would get upset. There were things that hurt her, but she would try to find a way, just like Minnie is, of trying to solve the problem, but reasonably, even though she's hurt, like that's true. Like there is a little comparison there.
And Abigail left a vacancy when the actress left. And don't you see very subtly, Minnie is kind of moving into that little vacancy. She's at the cafe all the time now. Now she said, I believe she said this during the episode, starting to think about, I may want to, buy this cafe at some point. So she is. I think people thought of Abigail as the conscience of Hope Valley,
Right.
and I'm wondering if Minnie is kind of being groomed to fill that role. And I think she'd be perfect for it, but that's just me.
That's a great question, because I'm wondering that too now. Now you've asked it.
Yeah. I know. You never know. You never know. Karen says, I'm truly amazed how you as actors can change your speech so drastically. You have that great Brit accent, then it's so different. A different kind of a draw. Wow, Roxanne, love you and Kathy. Oh, okay. We're getting some love there too. Okay. Thank you. You could show us love later. Okay. So there was one question, and I'm not sure if you can answer it, but I know it's out there. The whole idea of you even buying Abigail's Cafe. And we're wondering, let's say you do. Let's say you buy into it with Bill, because he can't let go of anything, Bill. That character cracks.
Oh my gosh, he's a piece of work.
Oh my God, he's like a mess. He's like a grumpy old man, but he's so like me, like he means well. But people are wondering if the name would change. Like, do you think in Minnie's, if you're allowed to answer this, let's say Minnie does buy it, do you think you'd keep the name, or would Minnie change it? Or you don't have an answer?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel like that is honestly almost a question for the Hearties. Would they even want it to be changed?
I don't know. I mean, you know what? It might cause a division.
We need no more divisions. Team Abigail, Team Minnie. No.
You know what? Honestly, for me as a Hardy, and I'm Hardy from day one, it wouldn't matter to me. I would understand if it were changed, because they would still always do a nod to Abigail. They always have her weaved into a conversation, just like they still do with Carson and Clara. They're good about that. So I wouldn't mind. And I don't know, you're moving into a new era. I mean, I think I'd be okay with it, but
I'd be fine either way. I mean, It's Abigail's. It's like an iconic place in town. Yeah. But as long as Minnie and the rest of the Canfields are still playing prominent roles, I'm good.
The thing that I like about too, if you did keep the name, is the whole part about what it stood for. It was a woman who was out on her own. Her husband was, killed in the mines. She really put everything she had into it to keep it. And then she, of course, almost lost it. So that's how she gets her partner. There's a big connection with Henry and how he was not nice at first about it, and now how he has grown. So maybe keeping it. I mean, I can do both. I can go both. All right, Miss Natasha, thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with Starla. Now, Starla, if I'm not mistaken, Starla, I'm going to tell you this just because I like to mention who's in the house. I believe Starla has a blog, and I think she writes, about her Hardy stuff. So I'm not quite sure what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong, Starla, in the chat. But she says, Minnie is a great example of meekness, strength under control. She is powerful, but in such a gentle way. That's the best way to leave it all.
That said it everything, really.
And you bring that to life, Natasha. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're a good addition. I'm loving it. This is a great season. It really is. loving every minute of it.
Yeah, it's generally a great season. Yeah.
Yes. All righty. So you can go leave and have some dinner, and we're going to hang out and talk and analyze every ounce and section and inch of the episode. We
Great.
appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Hearties.
Yay. They're all saying good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They're all in the little chat. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay. Hello.
Now it's just us chickens.
It's just us girls, just the two of us. Just us. Okay, so peoples, this is your chance to go grab a drink of water. Ooh, Natasha was on for 25 minutes. That was a long 10 minutes. Well, it was because it was such a powerful episode. I'm glad she shared.
That was so special.
It was. I'm so happy she shared everything that she shared. Not that I have not enjoyed the storylines over the years. I really have. But I just can't say enough about like last night's episode. It was my favorite so far. I always think the next one is my favorite. The next one. This really was my favorite so far. And not so much because of like all the loveliness that we got last night, but just because I love the writing. The writing was really good.
It moved storyline for almost every character. That's what I loved about it. It just gave me feels for all the characters in different ways, and that was fabulous.
I know. All right. So I guess we all could grab a drink, go to the bathroom if you wanted. Do you want to did you want to start? Did you want to talk first?
Sure.
I might, as you talk, whatever you're talking about, I might jump in with you, like right after you, before you move on to the next topic, if that's okay.
That's always fabulous for me.
Okay.
So again, in no particular order, this was just kind of freestyle thinking. I love the fact that Lucas or Chris, I believe, spent some time bonding with Hyland off screen, and I think that bonding has given them their on-screen scenes so much sweetness and authenticity. I think Hyland just generally loves Chris or really likes him, and that really comes across for Lucas and little Jack.
I'm looking forward to more scenes, like, in the next upcoming episodes. But you know what I really loved? I love the idea, like Chris mentioned this, and if I'm listening to him correctly, he mentioned it twice. He mentioned it with the Heart to Heart podcast, and he mentioned it on the with Deidre when they had them all together. That something must go down where Lucas is doing something really important, and Hyland and little Jack helps him out. With his help, it turns out to be something special. So I'm so excited to see what that is. And in my mind, when I say that out loud, Kathy, what do you think? What do you think it is?
Something to do with Elizabeth, obviously. I'm at a loss. That was the next thing I was going to say. I've given up predicting what I think is going to happen on this show because the writers are just like, here, hold my beer. I just can't. I think I know where they're headed, and they do a 180, and it's like, I'm loving it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm sure. All I know is it'll be sweet, and I'm fairly sure it'll be something to do with Elizabeth.
I'm thinking it has to do maybe with a proposal or an I love you. Something, because they haven't said the I love yous, although we'll get to that. But I feel like it might be something along those lines. I don't know.
I think they've said it. They just didn't use those specific words. I mean, how many different ways can these two say I love you without saying I love you?
I have a theory behind that too. So, okay. So I'm sorry. So you were talking all of you about their bonding. What else?
I have to say, Hyland has the sweetest little voice. Hi, Aunt Rosemary. It's just, he's precious.
I know.
I'm really glad Allie is back. And she seems more mature, which makes sense because she's older, the character and the actress.
Mm-hmm.
I totally disagree with her about Nathan's mustache, and I was heartbroken to see it go away. So there's that. I loved, I put Todd, I loved Landis's transformation. It really was like a transformation. There was no hint in the previous arcs he's been in, that all I saw was cold and cruel, and I wasn't sure if it was coming from a place of he's just a hard ass or if it was coming from a place of racism. I wasn't sure, but he tenderized last night. He heard that music, and it was like the Pied Piper playing he couldn't help himself. He had to
Mhm.
be over there enjoying Angela, and the next thing you know, he's like, okay, well, being this bureaucrat is not going to work for me anymore. I've got to go back to my passion. And you could see it in his demeanor, his eyes. He really worked that transition, and I really thought he did a great job. What do you
Do you-
think?
Oh yes, and you want to know what I and he always would say we're reasonable people. He would always use that term last, and I can't stand that because in education, when you're the teacher or there's the parent and they're trying to make a point and administration doesn't want to hear what you have to say because they know there's like for whatever reason you're not going to get it, and they'll say, well, we need to be reasonable about it. I'm like, oh, that term gives me like makes me angry. So when he's saying we're reasonable people, but he wasn't reasonable. He was a big
He
meanie.
was a jerk.
Yeah, he was a big meanie. But I would love to know, where are you, Peter? You're not on tonight, I don't think so. I want to know if they knew all along that in order to like the best way to soften him would be the opposite of, okay, so it's like he's mean to children, right? Did you see how Cooper's eyes lit up when he said I was a teacher, and he was like, you were a teacher? You're
Yeah,
like so mean, right? In his head. And then of all subjects as a teacher, of all subjects to teach,
music.
one that is the most powerful and emotional it would be music. So you're a music teacher and you're that mean and rotten, you lost yourself along the way. And how go ahead, jump in.
No, I was going to say, I am now going to go back and watch the scenes with Landis from previous seasons, knowing the backstory, and just see if that colors his performance for me this time. If it
Okay.
changes my perception of him, because
Yes.
that was some. There's apparently been some pretty deep rooted stuff going on with him. He was not enjoying himself doing what he had to do. So that I think
And
that
he
all
said
added.
that.
Yeah,
Like he was a bureaucrat. He kind of lost his way because there's no money in teaching, and like her eyebrow went up a little,
yep, yep.
and I'm like, well, I'm a New Jersey teacher. We're treated very nicely. We are. So I can't say
Well, you
that.
couldn't be mean to anyone, Roxanne. Come on.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I can. Don't be fooled by that. No, I meant there's no money, teachers are not respected. New Jersey loves their teachers, so I can't even say that or go there. But back into the storyline, you mentioned something about Allie with the mustache and whatnot. I love that she's the one who is able to get him to shave it, to
Yeah.
get Nathan to shave it, because that's his girl. That is his girl. That's who's number one. And then Newton.
Mhm.
But his girl is Allie. And what did you think about the whole dialogue, though, with where she
Dad.
calls him dad?
I saw. Go ahead.
She doesn't really call him dad. She's more like referring to him as my dad or her dad. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
So
the dialogue was, I mean, she was making statements. She was like, blah, 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 dad. And I saw where some folks were kind of like, well, that wasn't appropriate because she's been with him as uncle. I disagreed with that. I thought it was sweet. And I thought it was totally appropriate given the conversation. This is the first time the primary male figure in her life is giving her advice about boys. And so that's something a dad would do. That isn't something necessarily that an uncle would do. And I think in that moment, it was just very organic. I don't think she was necessarily thinking about it the whole time she was away, or she's been thinking about it since the adoption. I think it just came very natural to her that, this is the most important man in my life right now. And he's telling me, and I need to listen. And he's my dad. And so it just came out of her mouth. That's the way I took it.
I think that they're making it, and they're making it something in the storyline that there might be even more to it. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be this big giant thing where the father's going to try to come back and take her or something like that. I don't mean that. I just think we're going to say even more of him being like a father figure, which I had predicted a while ago. So when we had that lull in between everything and I was making my prediction videos and thinking of stuff, I had made one of my first that I did was a mom for Allie with like question marks. And it wasn't about someone being Nathan's new woman. It was more like the town, because this is the Hope Valley way of helping him out. If he was, and I thought he was going to have a different storyline, he might, where he was very much involved with what danger was going on. I feel like they're building up to that.
Yeah.
And she would, and here she was away. I said, someone's got to help out and take care of her. So she was away at the grandparents. But when she's there, I'm thinking she needs a mother figure. It might not be Elizabeth so much. I think it'll always have a connection because she's busy, you know, with her own life. But there was so much potential there. There's Florence, who is very wise. There is, of course, Faith. And there's even Fiona, but Fiona's very much caught up in her own thing.
Right.
So I really was looking towards like someone like Faith, and that's what they did. I never thought of May being there, but that's what they had. They had their girls' night. They were talking about inner beauty, which
Right.
I mean, I love that. And
That's
I hope we see it continue. I'm really hoping to, and keeping with the storyline, that we get another good like story between like a scene between Lucas and Allie, because they
sure.
usually have one, something that's important coming down the road. I don't know. He's so preoccupied with many other things, but I don't know.
I think we can count on the fact that there's going to be one somewhere
Right.
down the road. Yeah.
And I like how they're building the relationship between Nathan and Lucas. So we didn't see the yelling and screaming, but apparently there was a lot of yelling and screaming when the two of them had their little, you know, tete-a-tete, however you say it, in the bar, because that's what he says, but in a fun way. To Elizabeth, he goes, I don't know. There was so much yelling and hollering. I don't know who said what about the wager, right? We only saw the beginning of it. And I love the funny comments. And he goes, what do you care? And he goes, oh, I'm going to start a fan club. And the barkeep laughs a little. I love that. That was cute. But what I love is it's like a brotherly love, you know, like they're competitive,
but they have each other's backs
Yes.
no matter what.
But I think, though, that Nathan at this point is worried, and Lucas is giving him a reason to worry. But we know, because we're the viewers out here, where he's looking through the curtain like, what are you doing over there with Wyman? Like, when are they going to get—
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, he's like, hey, like, and he's doing it out in the open, which still is throwing me a little. I don't know why. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there is something that's nagging inside of me saying there's more to that storyline with Wyman.
There's absolutely more to the storyline, and it's making me crazy that I can't figure it out with any certainty. But there's so many. I think there are little pieces that are being put in place, and at the right time, they're all going to come together, and we're going to be going, oh, you know, that's what was going on. And one of the pieces, I think, I can't find any other explanation for. Last week, was it last week or the week before? Gustav, he's my cousin, out of the blue, and then it was left alone. Was that last week?
Yeah.
And then this week, 2 weeks ago. And then last night, Gustav makes a 20-second appearance to buy some clean peaches, and that was it for him. I'm sorry, there is more to Gustav than he's being placed for a reason. Why even have that literal a few seconds of scene? So I think it's all going to come together. And I've got to tell you about my timeline theory.
All right, let's go.
Of the couples in, I nearly said Pine Valley, in Hope Valley.
I know what Pine Valley is.
Totally different show.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing 3 couples at different places on the spectrum of love. You've got the Canfields that are, pretty far down. They've got that mature love. They've been married for a few decades. They've got nearly grown children. Their love is very mature. You've got Rosemary and Lee, who I absolutely adore, they've been married for a while, but they're still, they're not at that point yet. And they're still kind of, does he still love me? Does she still want to hang out with me? And that's what we saw last night. I absolutely love that whole arc for them, where they were both kind of doubting their love for each other's love for them. And, they finally got on I've never seen a seat like that. What do you call it? A courting chair. I just thought that was fabulous. Their love is like this candle that just burns steadily. and you can count on it and you know it's there. And then you have Elizabeth and Lucas, who are just starting out with their love, and it's more explosive and more fireworks. And can I just say a word about their playfulness last night? I am so mad they cut off the pillow fight in mid-sentence.
Yes.
Mid-sentence. And they are acting so married. Well, so you borrowed Lee's motorcycle. Well, I actually bought it. Bye. He's just so playful with her, and I love seeing this side of him. And so I got to give Lucas and Elizabeth their due. And that little scene at the end, big deal. It was okay. They
Wait a minute. Hold that
shared their
thought.
vows.
There's another level to your theory. There's that, where is it really not? It's really not love, but it's like puppy love. And that would be Robert and Allie. So that's it. You never hear Robert talk about it. I don't even know if Robert's really aware of it. But
Well,
Allie,
it's Robert and Allie or Robert and Angela.
oh, yes.
I'm not
right?
sure what's going on there. We
Yes.
haven't seen the three of them together.
Yes.
Allie hasn't seen how they've been practically stuck at the hip, Robert and
Yes.
Angela, for the last few episodes. And we haven't seen that yet. And I think they're holding that back for a reason. So yeah, puppy love is coming up. I don't want to see another triangle, but and
No.
know that Allie kind of has a little streak of, I want things my way, and I will, try to manipulate to get them my way. So I don't know if she's grown out of that or if it's just maybe increased. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
And Angela may be totally oblivious. There's this guy, Robert, and he hangs out with me, and, he's a good friend.
And that's it, right?
Yeah.
I love that in the writing of with Rosemary and Lee. So I had also thought that because, and it's like Captain Obvious, because they are working together and they're working a lot and they've really like threw themselves into their job. I truly thought Lee would be mayor. So I missed that. I truly did. And the reason why I did was because he spent so much time trying to figure out what he wanted his passion to be. And he thought it would be the mayor. And yet he said, I really like writing. He kept saying that to her, but she was in a mood and he was like questioning, oh, you don't like my writing? Like it was making him nervous. Right. But he didn't realize she was in a mood because she was so in tune with him. She was aware of him behaving a little differently. And it's funny because she didn't just come right out and say it. Like you said, there was that little bit of insecurity and poor Elizabeth they dragged her into it. But again, to the writing, a nod back to who those characters are. He used to write her poetry. It comes up again. And they didn't forget that he had said that he is the person who, has the lumber to give to people to make things. He wanted to start to make things. So instead of making her a spice rack, who knows, maybe he did. Caroline and Jeanette, they are on my fan page. Maybe he made the spice rack, but he went even one step further and he made them those chairs.
That was precious.
Oh, I love it. So, I mean, there's more to come with them. I think that when we get to the end of the season, without looking at spoilers or anything, but just looking at the storyline so far, that it's about their relationship and them being fulfilled. And if they're not going to be if it's not a family for them at the end, I'm going to be surprised.
I'll be shocked. Yeah.
I always thought it would be adoption because they give a nod to the whole infertility and the whole in the Hope Valley way. But I'm wondering if maybe she really will have a baby.
Oh, I think she will. It could be both. My money is on either both. The old adoption syndrome, you adopt a child and then you relax and you become pregnant. Either that or she's going to get really sick and not know what's going on. And by the end of it all, they're going to tell her you're pregnant and they're going to be over the moon. But here's my question. She was wondering about that poem. He used to write me poetry. Who did he write this for? Who in town did she think he could possibly be writing that poem for?
May? I don't know. She's the only new woman around. I don't.
Come on. Rosemary, use your noodle.
Someone he found out when he met on his campaign trail when he was stomping and got the burrs on his back. Or better yet, that goes to show when you panic, that you're not like reasonable. She wasn't being reasonable. You know how she jumps to conclusions. So again, the old Rosemary, like they brought her back. So let's talk about the beautiful, beautiful scenes between Lucas and Elizabeth. Oh my gosh.
They were, how shall I put it, beautiful? Has that word been overused yet?
I don't know.
It was playful, it was funny, it was heartfelt, it was everything kind of in one episode. Everything I could hope for in the Lucas and Elizabeth relationship. They have gotten so comfortable with each other. They're playful with each other. They tease each other mercilessly. And I was very happy.
So the character of Lucas has always been a reasonable man, like especially when it comes to how he deals with Elizabeth. He's very reasonable. Even when when he had to say he was sorry, it wasn't hard for him to say he was sorry. He's very logical, very respectful, would not enter her home. Do you know what I mean? Because they were not courting. Even when they kind of started to court, he still respected her home because he knew that her heart wasn't there, and I like this. So they still keep him that way. So he has his conversations with her, and he knows that, like with the telephone, she's independent. She's going to want to be independent. And he's like, I understand. And he doesn't say it in a way. He just even voices it. And then last night, she was late and she's not afraid to talk to him either. They're very open with hard things like, I am a mother. I would have waited for a certain amount of time and then I would have had to go home if you weren't here. But I did wait all that time. And he's like, I know, and I know what you're saying. And then, of course, that's when he says about being adventurous and the whole thing, which I will get to in a minute. But my point is, because they've been that way with each other, they're not afraid to talk about hard things. The writers better not disappoint me. And it might not, I don't want to all of a sudden he's going to protect her and not tell her what is going down with Landis. And I mean, not Landis, with
Spurlock.
Walden. Yes. So, or even with the oil company, he needs to have that conversation with her because they have to share those kinds of things. And if he doesn't, that's going to stink because that's not what the relationship has been so far. So I know he wants to protect her and all that stuff, but I'll be mad. I don't know.
My theory is from this point on, I'm not going to necessarily take what I see at face value. So if I see something that disappoints me, I'm going to kind of wait and see, is it really what it seems to be?
Right.
Or, it's like it ended with scenes from next week where there were 4 people, I think, in the room. And they're like, none of this can go past this room. Well, obviously somebody's going to find out about it, but I'll just be curious to see how that winds up. And go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking I wanted to finish with that. And then I had one thing about Nathan and May to discuss. I wanted to talk about like the words. So as a writer, you're very careful in the words and the way you write the words to be either, well, in their case, spoken, because script writing is a little different. But when you write the characters speak differently, you hear them in your head. They have a special, like a pattern speech. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, pattern of speech. They also have like certain little phrases that they use and whatnot. And they're doing a great job with that. And the words that were chosen though in this episode, like when he says to her, and also they've known before to be like, if this were a real date, I would take your coat. And if this were, I would hold your gaze a little, that's their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he says to her, if we should marry. So to me, that's like a pre-proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also like wedding vows. If we should marry. And then he tells her, if we should marry, like he would be there every night for her and he couldn't tear himself away in the morning.
Yep.
And she says, it should be, which is, and she's repeating it after him. And that should is like, yes, but it's Should it, because it didn't happen yet, should it happen? So again, it's like vows. It's like I'm proposing, she's saying yes. They're all pre stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the I promise, which is what a vow is. I vow this, I vow. You say that in your vows sometimes. This I
Yep.
vow. Instead, it was this, I promise.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh yeah, we will definitely get a proposal before
yeah.
the season's over.
And that may be what little Jack helps him with.
Uh-huh. And we might even get it before 12.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. We got a lot of things in the chat we're going to address in a few minutes because it's almost an hour. But what do you think, Kathy? Do you think?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to get there. And for those who are keeping track, I think the last on our list was the distraction kiss. We can now add the motorcycle kiss to that list because that was pretty cute. And I'm not talking about on the jaw when I'm talking about the full on when he I think when he came back, didn't they have a pretty good one when he
Holy!
and my absolute favorite part that was kind of risque when she first saw him with the motorcycle working, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm all scruffy." And she's like, "I like it." I think her voice dropped an octave. She's like, "I like it."
And she had her hands on his, they're so good. They must talk about this. She had her hands on his suspenders and was holding on to them. And he's got his hands on her hip. And he always has her, like when he's going in for a kiss.
Yeah, he's a face grabber.
He is. Well, I don't, not to reveal my own life, but in my life, when I'm kissed and there's like a face hold, I'm like, oh, means business kind of kiss. It's not a good night, goodbye, whatever. I mean business kiss. Yeah. So I love that he does that. I love how he just had her, because he was on an angle, as was she, because he was leaning back into the kiss, and he had her chin, holding it still. I'm like, those two must talk about those two actors.
I think they choreograph these scenes, especially the love scenes, to the period, to the every last detail.
Yes, they do. Or I'm watching a little too. I was sick over the weekend and I had a fever and I was in bed and I binge watched nothing. I like to savor stuff, but I was so sick and I couldn't get out of bed. Just so I binge watched Bridgerton. So maybe that's in my brain. I'm carrying that over into When Calls the Heart.
And we'll talk about that curmudgeon of the town later, Bill. He's just, get a hold of yourself, man.
How about how he manhandled poor Hickam?
I know. Tell me about it. It's like Molly wasn't even on last night, but
nope.
What are they going to do with this man? He needs some kind of life to get him out of other people's business. He was just manhandling poor Hickam.
I didn't like it. I know that I just thought it was a tiny bit over the top. I do know that he's nervous. That's because my father can have my father's not a manhandler, but he can have I'm just sharing my family secrets today. Like he can be a little grumpy and gruff, but he's fooling around sometimes. Bill's not fooling around.
Bill has never fooled around. Do you remember when Lucas first came to town?
Yes.
Open up that case. Well, what if I don't want to? Well, I have to make you. And he always expects the worst. He leaps to the conclusion that whatever he's after is the worst. So I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mean to take you off topic.
No, this is for you too. I'm not to hog everything. So it's just that but he's like, because he gets when he's like, my dad's like that. If you're hurt, he's like, what happened? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Why? And I feel
who do I blame? And how do
like Bill doesn't panic because he is a lawman. He can keep his cool, but he gets angry, and that's what he was like. Like, wake up, Hickam! My gosh, our town is on the brink of gosh knows what. He
goes from 0 to 60 really fast. Yeah. And Fiona is annoying. I mean, she was annoying last night. I did not like the way she talked to Henry at all. Well, that just really annoyed me, especially when she knew she was wrong, because she said it immediately after Henry left. She turned around and said, "What have I done?" So
she's not a united front because she's too busy trying to prove herself. But the thing of it is that this is where I hope they address this. I understand she's a female and she's trying to prove herself, and her character's always been in the middle of a she's always been in the middle of pushing the edge, the envelope, taking on. Remember when she helped put out the fire or at the
Yep.
explosion. Okay.
Yep.
Does it have to be a man? That kind of thing. But the thing is, she's surrounded herself, or they wouldn't have been involved in the first place if they couldn't handle it. She surrounded herself with 3 men that are open to that. She's got Lucas, who's very much open to that, to giving, just because she's a female, he would look at
Makes
her.
no difference. Yep.
Henry is even okay with it because he trusts Hickam, and Hickam very much trusts her.
Right.
So, but she's letting them all down because she's not being a team player, because she's trying too hard.
Right.
And I'm
And I
glad,
think that's what's annoying me.
and that's good. That means that she's, she's being a good, Kayla's playing the part well, and the storyline should annoy us. So they're doing a good job. I'm just waiting for her to have her aha moment and fix it, because if not, she's the one that's really going to hurt the town, and knowingly.
Yeah.
She knowingly is hurting them.
Yep.
And she's not a cruel character, so she's got to figure that out. They got to fix that storyline soon. We have to start feeling a little more empathetic towards her, because many of us don't right now. Yeah.
So what do you think? My perception is that they've put the cool button on what seemed to be developing feelings with Hickam and Fiona and Bill and Molly. Do you agree with that? And what are your thoughts on it?
I think they touched on it, but I think because things are so serious, so they touched on it. And then in reality, when your life is so serious and bigger things take over, you push that aside again, because Molly's still trying to find herself, right? And
Mike just became mayor, so
right.
his hands are
Mike
full.
just became mayor,
Fiona.
and Bill is really nervous about what's going on. I mean, he lost Clara and Jesse, who, that's when he smiles and laughs, and she softened
He's like
him.
his daughter.
Yes,
His
and
daughter figure, yeah.
he softened him, so he's all, so it's just not there for them. I think when they have a breakdown moment, like maybe Hickam has a breakdown moment, he's had enough, or maybe because when Kayla has a breakdown moment, she has Fiona, right? I mean, not Kayla. When Fiona has a breakdown moment, she has Faith.
Faith. Mm-hmm.
Right. And like when Bill has, Bill might have a breakdown moment, and he's going to need some TLC, and I'm sure Molly will be there. We just haven't gotten there yet. I'm sure it's all going to come together. It's just little pieces that are happening along the way. I feel it. I wanted to talk about Nathan and the scene, because Sarah, I love Sarah. They have the Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast, and they just have a Suspenders Unbuttoned IG account. And she does like little recaps of things. They're very focused on the character of Nathan and Allie. And I was reading what she wrote, and I was like, you know what? I wanted to think about this, because I was wondering some things too. And then when I saw her perspective, I didn't realize some stuff. So they have Nathan shave off his mustache, right? And he's inside. He breaks into the barber shop, right? And May makes the joke about, do I have to go get, Bill or something? And he turns around and his mustache is shaved. So he's in undress. It's not like he's just in a shirt. It's his under outfit. And May is just so relaxed in the doorway, and he's relaxed. And I was thinking to myself, I didn't think anything of it until they were like, how can that be? That's more like friend zone-ish, or why didn't she back away? And right away I was thinking, probably because she's in the medical field. I know she's a pharmacist, but she's there helping out. She's with Faith in the, in the operating room or wherever, right there helping out with.
Because she tended him when he was laid out, and he was very informal. Yeah,
so she's seen it all. She saw him in his little jammies and all of that stuff. So I'm thinking that's what it is. So that's why she probably felt comfortable, and he didn't think anything of it. And then the shaving off part, why he didn't go do it at his own house. One, let's think about it logically, because I was thinking that's true. Why didn't he? So I'm trying to reason it out in the storyline for Peter, who's not here, but in case he ever watches this, I don't know. I'm thinking that they only have 2 row homes in the sets. They already had a scene with Elizabeth. Then they used the backyard for, the for Rosemary and
Cultures.
Leah. And the Canfields are also using that. So just for him to shave off his mustache, they would have to go set up the whole house and whatnot. So I'm thinking that's why he went there. And when you think about it, he's in the center of town. He's at the jail all the time. It's right there.
It's
Go
right across the
shave.
street. Yep.
Yeah, just go run in and shave right there. And he's kind of like bold like that. I could break in. I'm the Mountie
I'm
who's
the
the
man.
no one's in there. Let me do this now
Yeah,
kind of thing. That's what I was thinking. Do you get a vibe between May and Nathan that eventually that they're trying to put them toward them as a couple?
I do. But I think it's going to be fraught with all kinds of complications. I've come around to the thinking that Faith isn't jealous so much as she's worried about
Yeah.
Nathan. And I think when that may be the next arc after they resolve the issues they're dealing with now with Spurlock and Walden and all that. That may be the next dramatic arc that her husband shows up and
Yes.
whatever drama is going on with that. I can see Nathan being initially horrified, like,
Yes.
wow, you let me like you and you were married all this time. And him being mad at her, mad at Faith because Faith didn't tell him, and Allie being swept up in it because she really liked May. So I can see that being a very intense kind of arc uh, later in the season.
Yeah, I know. I do too. I think there's got to be a hiccup. There can't be like a
Yeah,
smooth road, smooth
yeah,
sailing. And,
absolutely.
and actually, he's in episode 7 and 8 is when Jeffrey is there, and episode 7 and 8 is when Hickam has it's part 1 and 2. It has the same name, part 1 and 2, and it has people in Hope Valley sharing their cultures, and I even think it looks like they have a Thanksgiving celebration, sort of. I'm not quite sure. And
Have you
so
already done the Jewish celebration? I'm
it's
blanking
in
here.
7. It's in
Okay,
7 that he talks about Hanukkah. I'm not
okay,
saying that
Hanukkah.
it is Hanukkah time, but they're going to talk about it because he wants, to bring awareness and diversity of awareness of the different cultures and diversity. That's what
I
Hickham's
tell
idea.
you what, Hope Valley has plenty of diversity.
Yes,
They
it does.
really do.
It does.
Cultures, racial, religion.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we've got a boatload of questions. Now, if you get left out, it is not our intention to allow that to happen. I don't want it's us, so we can answer whatever. When an actor or something is here, there are certain things I just go, "Oh, I can't have answer," and I know ahead of time. So I might just go over what people ask. But let's see. Oh, that's cute. That was Karen saying how beautiful of a actress she was.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Let's see. Now I'm scanning down. I do think that Abigail, this is just Linda's comment. I do not think Abigail's will ever change. Okay, name. Peter mentioned that she will always be a presence in Hope Valley.
It
That
makes
makes
sense.
sense, Linda. I could see that. Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. And this is just Margie saying that she's watched since the beginning, and if Abigail isn't ever coming back to the show, she wouldn't mind at all if the name was changed. And that was just when we were just,
Speculating.
yeah, yeah. Let's see, just different people saying their own thing. You can control when I'm doing it. It doesn't change yours, does it? Like, do you see it moving up and down when I do the comments, or can you do your own?
I've never tried to do my own.
Okay. Christine. Oh, Chris. Hi, Chris. Chris, by the way, is also an admin to the Chris McNally fan page. Do the Canfields, and I like to say this out loud because you never know who's joining us, and you might want to join one of their fan pages. I'm still shocked people don't know half the stuff exists. Do the Campfields come from money in order to purchase the cafe and the sawmill? Chris, when I had Viv and Natasha on, I don't know, I feel like it was a while back, like January, I don't know, whenever it was. They were on months ago before the show started. We were talking about that, and they said that we will get to learn a little bit more about their background. I kind of think that is what Natasha was alluding to. Like it's giving us a hint, and that if we get a season 10, that we would definitely be going that route, right?
When Roxanne?
When we get season 10, not if, but when. Thank you for that correction, Kathy. All right, so this is all the amazing stuff. So now we got people sharing their stuff. I wanted to see if we could address it. I wonder why nothing else was said about who hit Lucas. Yeah, maybe. And then wait, but here's the thing.
Nothing else was said about who hit Nathan either.
Right. And well, they packed up the guy and sent him on his way.
Right, but that was like, it was a non-story. He ran, yeah. Joseph caught him, he got carted away. So
could it be that,
in my mind?
Could it be just because they're trying to show that level of, times are changing, we've got cars all over plus horses, things are changing, and that happened in real life, congestion and whatnot. They had to figure out, that's when traffic signals, stop signs and all had to come in. So it could be just a nod to that, but it could also be more.
I think it could also be that someone is trying to issue a warning to two key figures who could try to stop whatever they're trying to do in Hope Valley. That's my theory, and I think could happen.
This is what I think is so weird. He's angry and mad, and he says to Wyman, and he says to
Spurlock.
Agent Spurlock, that was a warning. You stay away from me, and you stay away from Elizabeth, right? Or Mrs. Thornton. And then there they are shaking hands and having a conversation out in the open over at the cafe. And I'm thinking, well, how did you just go from mad to shaking hands? So we better, you know what? I like a good mystery, but this mystery is getting on my nerves. It's a little too up and down.
Good. Yeah, I need more clues.
Yeah. The last scene was incredible. I'm so in love with Lucas. Okay. And clear of how perfect they are for each other. Okay. I love that. Margaret, I'm just looking. Me too. Such a wonderful show last night. I didn't know if anyone was saying each story flowed into the next so well. That's Starla. Yes, Minnie is my MVP. Peter wrote, somebody was telling me that Peter wrote the story, didn't make me excited. Yes, Peter did write the story, and yes, it does make me excited. And yes, I did write I did a little nod to him. I mean, not a nod. I sent him a little message. I love the last lines. If we were to marry. Yes, Janice. We know. I love it too. I would rush home to you in the morning and I would hate to leave. No,
I wouldn't leave.
He said, I know. He says, I would pull myself from you in the morning. And I'm like, I can't help but my mind to think he's not talking about over the breakfast table. I was like, I have to behave. The fever makes me crazy. I was thinking more of in the morning, like he doesn't want to get out of bed and go to work.
That's where I went.
I know. And you know what? I have to tell you, they never really say stuff like that, but they did. And I picked up on it. And it was with Minnie and Joseph when he's in the house and the kids are leaving for school and he's upset because he's losing his boy. You know what I mean? And she says, well, I have an idea. And he goes, oh, don't you make me late for work. And she looks at him. And I was like, oh, was that written or did he throw that in and they never changed it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I never liked Mr. Landis, but now I wish he would move to Hope Valley and be the music teacher.
Thank you, Margie. I agree with you.
I know. I'm just looking to see if anybody had any questions, but I don't see anything. I'm just looking at all their different things. There's a lot of you here. So we have a couple. That's cute. And it's wonderful listening to Allie in conversation and call Nathan dad. It's only natural because he feels more and more like her dad. And dad, I love it. Yeah, I get that. Let's see. It was fun to imagine Lucas and Nathan with their testosterone flowing. And yes, fan clip was ice. Oh, I know. Where he said your fan club. That's what she's referring to. New comments. Okay. Let's see. What's this say? You remember, Roxanne, that Lucas told Jeanette that he was trying to cozy up to Walden. Yes, I do. I absolutely listen. I have a very good memory. Yes, but my point was that's true. But why yell and carry on in front with Spurlock and with Wyman, and then go and talk to Wyman? See, this is why I think that there's more to that. I think that he really said that because of Spurlock. He was like performing. Like, I don't know. I don't really think that.
Who is he acting for?
Yes.
Who's the mole in the bad guys group? Because I'm convinced there's a mole. I don't know if it's Spurlock or Walden. I mean, you might think it's Walden, but I think it would be such a hoot if it turned out to be Spurlock. I don't know.
I know. It says Peter does such an amazing job directing, and now we see him as a very gifted storyteller. He wove the stories together beautifully and made us feel it all. I don't think that was the first time he ever. I mean, I think he's done something like. I'm not saying to that capacity, but I think he's done some stuff before. What's this? Continually question, when did Faith and Allie bond? Faith is new. Hi, Brian. Continuity. I thought I read that wrong. When did Faith and Allie bond? Faith's new friendship with Nathan is a little puzzling. Really?
Her feeling, her attitude, either she's a little jealous or she's being protective, whichever way it is. It kind of came out of the blue. They had the one scene together at the end of the final episode of season 8. And then since then, maybe stuff was happening, between seasons. I don't know.
Well, I think we're going to see more, but it's also, too, it has to do with she was there nursing him, doctoring him. So they spent quite a time. I mean, he couldn't leave the infirmary. He had to stay. And
quite a while, yeah.
Yeah, and she kept him company and she was there. So I think that's where that came from. But I'm not surprised that Faith would be talking to Allie. Not at all. I think that I thought a lot of the women would step up. She's single, right? She has the time. She's a young girl, and she's a young woman talking to a young girl. It's almost like I did. I had that. I had someone in my life. Her name is Sandy, and she lived like right next door to me. And she took me under her wing and would do, girl stuff with me. Not that I didn't have a mother and father. I did, but I'm just saying I can see that. I expected that. Yeah.
Well, it's like I'm thinking about it. It's like they had a series of little micro cliffhangers. Did I miss a reference to what happened in the conversation with Faith and Carson from last week?
They never told us. It was just, he called her. Just a nod, I think. Just like a nod to him being there. I think that's what it is.
They could have just mentioned that in passing. Oh, Carson called me last night. They made a point of showing the phone ringing and her running in to get it. I don't know. It's just, these are not bad comments. I'm not being negative. I'd like to know, is there going to be a payoff, or was it just kind of a throwaway scene?
I'm listening to, what's this? Rena, is that how you say that? Rena. I did have a question for you all above. Do you think it's possible for an impromptu surprise wedding? No.
I don't think he'd surprise her with a wedding.
No.
That would be too much.
I don't think, I don't know. Hey, I won't say no. I won't say I wouldn't like it, but I feel like it's set up where we'll be so satisfied that they're together and what they feel for each other. However, I think that the writers are almost banking that they're getting a 10. I don't know. I'm just, yeah. Starla, Lucas is trying to make Wyman think he's pulling something over on Bill and Nathan, acting one way in front of them and different in private, gaining his trust. And this is true. I see all of that. I do. I get that now that you're saying it. There's just so many ways that this can go. I have no idea where it's going. I wonder.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're all kind of assuming that Lucas is going to be the proactive one in taking their relationship to the next step. I wouldn't be completely shocked if Elizabeth isn't the one that takes that step or puts it out there, because she's turning into a bold little thing here lately. So she may be just the one to say, well, yep, time to move on. Let's Let's do
And and she knows what it's like to wait so long, and then you finally get your happiness only in the blink of an eye for it to go away.
Yep.
So and they made a nod to that when she said the part about in the very beginning with the little butterfly going, and she was outside, where she said, you know, they say that time flies, but the day is long. And I'm thinking to myself, you're right. You know how time does fly. And like,
There was the other reference to Jack in the episode too.
yes, seize the day, you know?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Absolutely. I think Lucas gets hurt and Elizabeth decides she doesn't want to wait any longer. She knows how fleeting life can be. And Nikki, every time I see your name, and then there's the like the way it is, I always think of Nikki DeLoach every time I see that. Like, wouldn't that be great if Nikki DeLoach liked When Calls the Heart and she was in on my podcast? I would be excited about that. All right. So there's just so many wonderful things on here, and I love that you're chatting with each other. So last week I had, if you don't mind, Kathy, can I do the hidden picture or the picture mystery
Oh,
picture
go
thing?
for it.
So last week I did an up close of the grill of the car that had hit Nathan, right? So this time I did an up close shot and I put it out, and instead of on Twitter, I did it on Instagram. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, that would be fabulous if you did. And I post all kinds of links and things there too, if you're on Instagram. So I'm going to show the picture, and the first person in the chat who answers it correctly gets a prize. So let me just tell you what last week's prize was. By the way, I remember the last name, and it was Miranda was the last name, and I forgot her first name, and I apologize. I'm so sorry. I know Miranda's, and that's why the last name is in my head. But the winner last week, I sent to her Muddy Buddies, because a buddy, you know, my buddy kind of thing. So I sent Muddy Buddies as a treat. So people,
Story, is it?
listen, Linda Gordon. I didn't even show what it was for everybody, but let me show it. Linda, let me highlight Linda and let me share real quick. I feel like I'm talking in slow motion. I must be tired. I'm sorry. Share screen? No. Share window. Yeah,
Well,
that.
Miranda's first name is Gloria. Was she the winner
No,
last?
it's a Linda who got it first
Oh.
on the timestamp.
No, I
Anyway,
mean you were trying to think of who won it last week.
her last name is Miranda, and I can't remember what her first name is. It went off out of my head, and that's rude. And I do love you,
Gloria. She's on. She said it's Gloria.
Gloria. Okay, Gloria. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's the picture. And as someone already said, I'll stop sharing. Someone already said that it was the handkerchief that Hickam accidentally drops, and they don't care, and they take off even though they weren't supposed to. And he's like, that was a spirited start.
Yes.
Poor Hickam. All right. So, and you wouldn't let me say it earlier this week. Deb, I would not. I said you had to wait till the point is, Deb, you must come here and tell it here. I show it on Instagram and I show it on Twitter, but you have to join here to share. Let's see. It's going to be a 10, and I'm pretty sure Linda. Hickham's handkerchief that he dropped. All right, Linda Gordon. Linda, we know each other. I think I even have your address. Oh, I've been talking a lot and I need to be quiet, Kathy, but I want to show everybody two things. One, my very good friend gave to me. She's a Hardy, and I think she might be here for Christmas. I don't know if I shared this with you, but look, it's out there, people. It's Bouchard. It's chocolate. Ah! You could buy it. It's Belgian chocolate, and it comes in different sizes, and this is like 2 pounds of it. Look. I don't know if you could see it. Can you see that?
It's upside down.
I'm sorry. See it?
Yeah.
Comes individually wrapped. It's so good. And guess what else came? My stickers for the tea for our McFriends. McFriends. I'm so excited. So y'all be getting that soon. I'll put that together. All right. I still think there's something funny about May and Jeffrey, but Bill is going to get to the issue. I agree, Sharon. It's going to happen. Martha got it first. Christina. No, see, everybody, it looks different on yours. I have the timestamp that comes through here, and it's in order. And the first person who answered the question was Linda. You can see it looks different on your end, but everything rolls in order for me, like 910, 910, and then who came first in the 910. Yes. Listen, students, the teacher is speaking. I don't mean to be condescending. I'm fooling around. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
I think
All
May
right.
is going to be Bill's new Clara.
What is it? Oh, that. All right. Tell me, who is your MVP?
It's actually it was going to be a tie between the Canfields and Landis, but I got to give it to Landis because I love to see a good transition in a character, and he did it in one episode, and it was marvelous. I think he just did a fantastic job of interpreting how he moved from, soulless, cold bureaucrat to I found my passion again. I just absolutely adored that, and I think he's a darn good actor, and he is my MVP for last night.
Yes.
How about you?
My MVP is Peter DeLuise because he wrote this gorgeous episode. So he's my MVP. I want to address, listen, I want to talk about real quick so people understand what I'm doing because I'm seeing some things in the chat. The mystery picture. So the mystery picture is purposely put on IG or on Instagram or on Twitter. So people who are out there that don't know about this can tune in and watch it. So that's why I do it. And then I put it here, and just whoever's the first person to announce it gets the credit. So to make people feel better, if you want to, instead of saying hello when we first start, hurry up and put the answer in. I'm okay with that. But yeah. So, and I won't do it until the end. So that is my purpose for it. So I first did the first one on Twitter and then the next one on Instagram. And now I'm going to go back to Twitter and put it on there. That is my purpose for doing that. Yes. So I just wanted to make a few observations. When I say this, and then I know, Kathy, you can continue. I'm very chatty, and I think it's because I had a fever for 3 days and was stuck in my house without family or friends. They delivered things on my doorstep and ran, had to take 2 COVID tests. I don't have COVID. I think I'm lacking socialization. So please forgive me for tonight and all my talking. One time I did a video and somebody wrote under it, I can't stand the sound of her voice, meaning me. And I'm like, well, why are you here?
Hello.
I just want to watch the video. And I was thinking, well, put it on silent and hit closed caption. I don't know what to tell you. That's my voice. But I thought that was hilarious. But and I didn't remove it either. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One, thank you. I mean, thank you. This is to everybody who's out there for tuning in, because I have to tell you, I love, like it extends the day, like it extends the episode. Does it for you, Kathy? Like how
It does.
I
have almost as many feels during our chats as I do watching the show, because there's just something about being in a group of like-minded people that get it, There are not that many people in my life that I can just sit around and chat about When Calls the Heart, and the Hearties get it. And so I love interacting with you guys.
I do too. I love it. Now, it is my intention, and you know this, as long as I've been on doing this and setting it up when I was doing my individual interviews and things of the cast before the season started. It was always my intention, because I talked about it enough and some people copied, but that's okay. That's a good idea. Copying is flattery. On Monday nights to have the chat and analyze it, but to have an actor come on whose character had a pretty good, scene or something about that particular episode. So that is my intention. I don't know. I mean, it's happened for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have it set up for 6. Next week is a really cool scene with the kiddos in the ice cream parlor. So Ava and Christian will be on because they are part of that scene, and they'll be chatting with us about it. And it's nice to get to talk to, that younger crowd storyline, which is great. What's happening? Who's coming for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12? I have no idea. I want to address this, though, in a very professional way. I am not complaining. What I'm just trying to do is I get bombarded with emails and messages on Instagram and Twitter. And those people who do know my email, it's not a secret, Facebook, asking for, and I think I addressed this before, for certain actors to come on. I will tell you that I have asked every single actor to come on to the show, except for Erin. I have never asked Erin, and not because I don't want to, I just never got to it. And one day I will. If an actor is not coming on, it's because they're choosing not to. They don't want to. So it's no hard feelings. I love them. If they chose to come on, I'd be excited, but they don't want to, and they don't have to. They might show up and then people are like, but he was on this one and she was on that one. And I'm like, I am not the overseer of that. Maybe they already had an established personal relationship and have been on that podcast before. Maybe they have to be on the podcast because Hallmark said they had to be. And that is the case for certain things. That's all that I can say. I mean, they don't want to come on. That's their right. And I love them still. Do you know what I mean? They're busy. They're tired. They have things in their life. They don't answer to me. You know what I mean? But I have asked I've invited, not with the younger crew. I haven't. They're underage. I have to be careful with that. But I'm excited. I would hope that they would all come on. I'm just telling you, yes, I have asked Chris. And I have asked, there are some that are still coming. Don't worry about that. But I have asked Chris, and I have asked Pascal and Kevin, and I've asked Martin and Ben. And the response is either I have to go through Hallmark for clearance, but that's just, if they wanted to, they could. So you can stop asking. It'll happen one day, I promise. All right, Kathy, do you have anything you want to end with?
Nope, just looking forward to next Sunday and seeing what the episode holds for us, and hopefully they'll plug in some more holes. It's like a crossword puzzle, and hopefully they'll fit a few more pieces in. So I'm just looking forward to that. Give us more to chew on.
All right. Martha said, interesting. I will come on. Martha, you want to come on our podcast and chat with us one day? You can. You could be a guest hardy. No problem. Email me or send me a message. Kathy and I will share the limelight with you. Thank you, Deb. Don't worry about what others are saying. Anyone you have on is icing on the cake. Oh no, nobody's saying, listen, I was trying to say nobody is saying anything negative. No one is ever. I don't mean that at all. I was just trying to be like, some people just ask and ask and ask and ask for certain actors to be on. And the thing is that they're busy and they can't. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean never, but they just can't. They don't want to, or they can't. We have to respect that. You know what I mean? Who knows what's going on in their lives? They could be on vacation after they work long hours. They could be making a movie. They could be having a baby. They could be gosh knows what, let them, they got to do their thing.
And she's invited just about everybody. So
yes, I have.
Some people agree now. Maybe some will agree later. We don't know, but.
And some are still coming on. I just don't announce it far ahead. I mean, but everyone, I think I've done, everyone has been invited. You know what? That's not true. I did not invite Viv Leacock. I didn't invite him. So I told a fib. Not that I don't want to. I just didn't even, reach out to him. So that's that story. All right. This is a long one.
But a fun one.
Yes. Tomorrow, just an FYI, tomorrow I have Nikki Deloche on, and she is talking about The Curious Caterer and her new mystery series, which has the potential to be a series because it's from the Diane Mott Davidson books about Goldie. I think her name was Goldie. What in the show it's Berry, but I don't think that's what it was in the books. She's a caterer, and I think from Colorado. And of course, there's the sheriff, and they solve murders. It's kind of cool. So she's coming on tomorrow for a chat. And then on Thursday, all of you who love Chris McNally and love Brittany Bristow, their new movie, I have Umberly on. She is a co-star in the movie, and she's coming on. I had Moxie the dog already, and now she's coming on. I already interviewed Britt. Chris, I don't have an interview coming up with him yet, so stay tuned. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all. See you next week.
Oh, someone says, I rewatched the show after the commentary because you bring up details and nuances I may have missed. You have eagle eyes and great analysis. Is that Blanca? Blanca, you are too kind, my dear. Thank you.
Someone is asking what time tomorrow's podcast is.
Tomorrow's different. It's Nikki. 5 o'clock Eastern, our time, Janice. 5 o'clock our time. But you know what? You can always catch the recording of it. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Today's podcast is 8 o'clock. They're up. Both are up, and the dates and everything have been changed, and they're on my channel. Viv was on your podcast. Yes, he was, but that's not what I meant. I meant for this, Christine.
Recap.
Yeah, I do. I know I had all them on, but I'm talking about being invited to this, our Monday night recaps. That's what I meant.
The Roxanne and Kathy show.
Yes, I should call it that. I should change it, say a chat with Roxanne and Kathy. I have to upgrade that. Thank you. All right, I'm going to end. Good night.